the things you love. The second quadrant is what the world needs. The third is what you're actually getting paid for. And the fourth is what you're good at. Now, when you do this circle and you look at the things that actually connect with one another, for example, what you're good at and connecting it to you're getting paid for it, if you look at the in between, that would actually be a passion of yours. If you look at something between what you're good at and then what you're getting paid for, that is like a profession. What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña. And in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Alexa Peña, and in today's conversation, we're going to learn how to differentiate between an ego-based goal and a soul purpose goal. A lot of us have been told what to do instead of learning how to think, and this is something that is keeping a lot of people in survival. Now, I've also talked about this in previous episodes, but how your soul contract is the thing that you chose to embark on before coming onto this planet, and how it ties into why you're experiencing the things that you're experiencing and how it might actually be leading you to change because it is yearning for something different out of life. Also, we're going to cover why outgrowing certain goals might actually be seen as failure, but it's actually tied into evolution, and why you are on the right path when you feel like the old things that used to resonate with you no longer resonate with you. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the IKIGAI framework. This is going to help you understand how to live a life that is purposeful, abundant, and really just align with your truest and highest best self. So we're going to uncover all of that in today's episode. So as always, I have my notes ready to go. So let's get started. Okay, so before I get started, I want to share with you a little bit about my journey, because I believe that in our brains, the way that we learn best is through storytelling. And I believe that when we hear somebody share something with us about their journey, it allows us to understand how we see ourselves in that trajectory, how we might be feeling the same emotions, thoughts, and actions, and how we're creating the same reality. So finding somebody else's journey to tie into how you're in your journey really helps speed up the process. I was watching this interview where they were, doing some sales calls, and the guy was, trying to teach his students how to charge more. And one of the things that was funny is that the guy, as he was asking the audience, okay, but, I'm going to charge you, let's say X amount, $100 for this logo. And then somebody rebutted back at him and said, well, I could get it for like $20 on Fiverr. And he's like, okay, but at the end of the day, it's going to maybe not be the exact work that you wanted. It's not going to actually deliver all the other things that you were looking for. And as they were going back and forth, he actually realized that a lot of us, sometimes we're looking for these shortcuts in life. And when we realize that when we're actually paying somebody to teach us something or learn for us to actually put that into our own work, the main thing here is that we're saving time. And my hope with these conversations is also to save you time, save you the time of having to go through some of the struggles that I've been through. And especially for my moms, especially for my working entrepreneurs, women that just feel burnt out, women that are feeling like everything is on us, this Miss Independent role. And I see it so much. I see it so much with my students. I see it so much within my own journey. And this is why I believe that we need to learn how to really uncover what we want out of life and not just allow somebody else to put this label on us of what we should be doing in life, but actually ask ourselves the question of what we want in life. So that's why I wanted to start off this conversation with what is the difference between an ego-based goal and a soul-based goal, so a soul purpose goal. Now, the best way to understand that is that the ego-based goal is going to be when you're looking for validation, when you're afraid to actually step aside and speak your truth because you're afraid of being having rejection, or you're afraid of being left out. It can be something such as, my parents wanted me to be a doctor, therefore I decided to be a doctor. But reality is that I love helping people, but I don't like being a doctor. Like, I genuinely would love to do something else with my life, but I feel like I'm stuck here and that's what I have to do. Now, a soul purpose goal is geared all around you actually being fulfilled, happy, healthy, and actually living your best life that's in alignment with your soul contract. And I found this interesting term that I really wanted to share with you, and I actually have a little diagram here. I'm going to make it a little larger for you guys to see. But it's the IKIGAI. And what it talks about is how we have 4 quadrants. So the first quadrant is going to be all the things you love. The second quadrant is what the world needs. The third is what you're actually getting paid for. And the fourth is what you're good at. Now, when you do this circle and you look at the things that actually connect with one another, for example, what you're good at and connecting it to you're getting paid for it, if you look at the in between, that would actually be a passion of yours. If you look at something between what you're good at and then what you're getting paid for, that is like a profession. When you have something that the world needs and what you're getting paid for, that can be a vocation. And then when you have something you love and what the world needs, that is like a mission. Now, the goal here is to be in the center where you're actually loving what you're doing, you're good at it, you're getting paid for it, and you're servicing the world. This has been one of the biggest realizations in my journey. I've mentioned this before. I got started in real estate when I was 21 years old. I didn't know what in the world I was doing. I'm 28 now, about to be 29 in December. And something that I personally realized in my journey as, I continue to grow in my real estate journey is that I loved being a realtor because of the sense of fulfillment that I was getting to experience with my clients when I finally gave them the keys to their house, right? It was something that for me, since I came from the background that I did, I've mentioned this before, I grew up with my grandparents in a storage room. We didn't have a lot of resources. We were in very limiting situations. And although we went through hardship, they did the best that they could with everything that they were able to provide me at that time. But when I would see somebody else accomplish home ownership, it brought this sense of joy, this sense of purpose to me. And what I realized through my healing journey is that the reason I loved it so much wasn't because of, yes, the money was great and I was blessed and I was thankful, but what was actually pushing me to continue to grow is that I was genuinely caring about the success of the client. I genuinely care about making sure that they're taken care of. I genuinely care about making sure that they were achieving the goal that they had for them and their family. And while doing that, it was a blessing because I was helping them be happy and achieving a goal. Meanwhile, I was taking care of my family. So it was the best of both worlds. Now, as I continued to do deep work, and this is where we're going to get into soul contracts, I realized that yes, I loved what I was doing. And I use the word loved because I've realized that the reality is that I genuinely have so much love for that business because it taught me and it's grown in ways that honestly have blessed me so much. But now I realize that my true reason for loving that was because I was helping people. I was helping people to achieve a goal. I was helping people to go from point A to point Z. And that was so fulfilling for me. And why am I talking about this? Well, because as I kept doing soul work, as I continued to do, all the shadow work and all the internal healing that I've been doing, and it's never going to be perfect. So if anybody tells you like, oh, I'm healed, like run for the hills, my friend, because nobody is ever going to be perfect. As long as we are human, we are going to have these internal situations and internal battles that sometimes we're going to go through. But finding clarity and finding your why is so important because sometimes people don't ask these questions and then they realize, 50 years down the road that they're not really happy with what they chose. And even if you are 50 years down the road, it's better for you to realize it now than for you to continue on that same road. So I did a lot of research and I started realizing I genuinely wanted to help other people do what I had done, which was scale my business in real estate past 7 figures in the past 3 years. I was extremely thankful for that. But I wanted for them to understand that yes, the money is great, but you need to do it while you're in alignment. That was the only reason why I kept growing. People kept finding my videos and they continue to. I'm not out of real estate, okay? I am just now a team leader, so I'm still the head honcho when it comes to my team. But the reality is that I'm playing a new hat, right? I'm playing a new hat because I want to continue to pour into my walking manifestator brand because that is what brings me joy. That is what makes me wake up. When I do the podcast, I don't care if I have no views or I have 100 million views. My goal is to make sure that I am providing service. I am providing value by sharing these things that have helped me get to where I am. So as I continue to uncover this, I realized that the main reason why I was doing what I was doing was because I wanted to help people. And even if it was a small transformation from them, maybe feeling like they were broke and unworthy, to me, it was a huge transformation for them to realize that they're not unworthy, that they are loved, and that they can do it. Or somebody that maybe is like, Alexa, I've been at, 50,000 for the past like 5 years and I haven't been able to scale that. I want to get at least past my first 6 figures. I have something that is a blueprint that I've been able to incorporate in my life that helped me. Well, now I want to pay it forward. Now I want to share, because I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in a lot of these courses and a lot of these coaching programs. And now I feel like I know more about what I'm talking about, even though it's not perfect, even though I know that there's always going to be somebody out there that is going to have more knowledge than me. And that is okay. And why I wanted to talk to you about the IKIGAI is because sometimes we're so consumed with what it is that somebody else wants, this, again, ego-based goal, that we're not worried about finding out what it is that we want. And this is where it ties into your soul contract. You see, if you look into Dolores Cannon's books, I've talked about this in the past, but I'll share a little bit more right now. She is a hypno-regression therapist, and she was not into the woo-woo at all, okay? So for those of you like, oh, she was a woo-woo lady. No, she was not. If you do some research, you'll see that she was an army wife. She was essentially just going in through her own PhD and her own work of, psychiatry and understanding better the brain. Now, as her journey continued to unfold, there was a lot of military personnel that had gone through very weird things and little gaps in their life that they couldn't remember. So they started asking her hey, I want to understand what happened. I went black on this time of my life. I don't remember anything. Can you please help me understand? Well, as she takes them through this journey, and this is her just trying to understand what's going on, because again, she's still trying to acculate to what information she's receiving at this point. As her journey unfolds, she realizes that the people that are telling her, after she puts them under her, the trance, she puts them under trance. And then when she's asking these questions of okay, what happens in the past life and the afterlife, what happens, beyond the light, they're essentially telling her that we all have the ability to choose everything we're going to experience. And this is something that really blows my mind, because if you can understand that every person that was answering under the trance, okay, they were all in different places of the world. You could sit here and be well, they orchestrated it. No, I'm talking about somebody in China was being interviewed, meanwhile somebody in Russia was being interviewed, meanwhile somebody in Mexico. And I'm being very extreme here, but this is where you start realizing that there's a pattern, that people are saying the exact same thing over and over again. So as this unfolds, there's a ton of information that she's been able to populate for us. And why I think it's important is because that's what helped me understand that everything I had been through was part of me choosing to grow in this life to the best of my abilities. And I do believe that when you start understanding energy, because a lot of people, they try to diminish, the metaphysical world, and they try to say that's woo-woo. But if you actually do your research, if we do a little bit of digging when it comes to quantum physics, or even the double slit experiment, you can see that what you focus on is what's going to manifest into the real world. And science is simply trying to make sense of the unexplainable, of the unknown. And the reality is that it's never going to catch up fully. Why? Because the unexplainable, the unknown, is something that we don't know. And as much as you try to make it, make sense, the most that we can do with our brain is understand to a certain level that we are here to continue to grow. We are here to continue to evolve. And this is something that for me, I feel I need to talk about so that hopefully it helps you in your journey. I used to believe that I was broken. I used to believe that I was the issue. I used to believe that because of all these things that happened in my external reality was the reason why I couldn't succeed. But the reality is that all of those things that were actually happening, they were making me become the person that I am today. And even though there's still a lot of beliefs that I hold that I am alkalizing and changing, I know that where I started is nowhere near where I'm at right now. And this is where maybe you are in your journey. Maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're like, Alexa, I am tired, of my 9 to 5, but I just don't know what to do. I can't leave it. But the reality is that you need to be very aware that growth is non-linear. So it's never going to be a straight line to where you want to be. It's always going to be a up and down journey. And why that's important is because we need to normalize that evolution is something that is part of our journey. And even though maybe at one point in life you did want to do what you're doing right now, it doesn't mean that's where you have to stay. For example, with me, I mentioned it before, in the real estate journey, I loved it. And yes, I was 100% happy. But after doing more research, I realized, you know what? I love it so much because I'm helping people. Why not just go straight to the source? Why not just help people understand that our limiting beliefs are holding us back and that our autopilot mechanism is the one that keeps us doing the same thing over and over again? And why not help them create a new identity? Why not help them create a new business? Why not help them X, Y, and Z? So with that, I found my IKIGAI, right? I found the reason why I wanted to do the things that I was doing and how that was going to help me in my journey. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, because we don't take the time to actually ask ourselves, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to create out of life? We continue to repeat the exact same patterns. We continue to do the exact same thing. And this is why I believe in this entire journey, the number one thing that you want to get started with is internal healing. And why? Because if you don't know what you want and you don't know why you want it, you're always going to keep recreating the same patterns. I was having a coaching call with a student that, again, they want to evolve, they want to grow their business, but they put partial time to the business. Like they're still working their 9 to 5, but they're barely making time for the 5 to 9, right? And when we uncovered it a little bit more, the reality was that she was afraid. She was afraid to really go all in for her business because she didn't believe that it was going to succeed. That is a limiting belief that you're manifesting into the universe without even trying. You see, the other day I woke up, and because next month, I'm going to give my first event for my feminine embodiment coaching. I am so blessed and I'm so thankful. I have this amazing friend that I met at Cancun, and she invited me to go and collaborate with her at her event in London. So I'm going out there, and when I was planning for it, I remember telling myself like, oh my gosh, like you still get nervous when you're having a conversation in front of a lot of people. Like you should start, putting yourself doing the uncomfortable things so that you can be comfortable by the time that it's time. So I went to Toastmasters on Monday, and it was funny because as I was heading out there was a bunch of things that were happening that almost made me decide not to go. Like one of them was the boys were being crazy. The second one was, the traffic was crazy. It was just things from the human world that were happening. And as I was driving, I was like, you know what? I think I'm not going to make it. I think I should just, go to a cafe and start working because there's no point in me getting there. And then that was my lower self talking. So as I realized that, I was like, you know what? I had my little conversation, my pep talk with my higher self. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm trying to self-sabotage, but I'm still going to go. And even if I get there late, like it is what it is, I'm going to, just participate and be there. Well, when I get there, I had been there maybe about a year ago. I hadn't been since. So I recognize the people that are there. I'm sitting, in like the back seat because I got there late, not because I wanted to be in the back seat. I always sit in the front seat. I used to not always be like that, by the way. I used to freaking hate people that were like the eager person to go and sit in the front. Now I'm like, yes, ma'am, I'm going to sit in the front because I want to absorb all of your information. But anyway, so as I sat in the back, I am listening to what they're talking about. And I noticed that my heart starts getting very crazy. Like it's just pounding. And I'm like, what in the world? Why is it pounding? Like it's not even your turn. You don't even know if you're going to talk. Why are you so nervous right now? So as I'm uncovering these realizations that I'm having, the reality is that again, your brain is going to try to signal you're going to die if you do this thing, to try to keep you in the same spot that you've been before. Why? Because it does not know the actual outcome and how it can happen. And because your brain is designed to keep you safe, it is going to try to tell you, if you go up on that stage, you are going to die. Something really bad is going to happen. You don't know how it's going to end. You should just stay here. You should just not do it. So as I start hearing these thoughts, I'm like, you know what? I am okay. We are fine. And I don't even know why you're getting nervous, because remember, when you get nervous, it's because you're trying to perform. It's because you're worried about what people are going to think about you. But the reality is that you should just be here to provide value and to learn and to grow. So one of the questions that was asked to a gentleman right before I wasn't expecting that I was going to get called, but one of the questions that he was asked was, what was his purpose in life? And I was like, oh, I love that question. So as it's my turn, because the Toastmaster that was the president, he recognized me from, again, my time there before. So he's like, Alexa, right? And I was like, yes. I was like, yes. So he's like, okay, I want you to do a follow-up on the question that he just asked. Can you please come up on stage and talk about that? So he said that, of course, a lot more formal. So I was like, yes, of course. I go up there and I was like, at this point, my heart is pounding. My heart is pounding and I'm just like, Alexa, take a deep breath and breathe. And what I've done in the past is that sometimes because I get so excited, I literally feel like the voice is escaping me, okay? And in this moment, I was like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're going to breathe because you're a freaking badass and you got this. And this is just part of you getting in those situations that you teach your students to put themselves in. listen, okay? So you got this. And this is why I feel like if there's any coach that you hire that they just pretend that they're perfect, I just believe that that's not really authentic. I believe that it's better for you to show your true colors versus trying to paint this picture of something perfect when nobody's really perfect. So this is why I'm being vulnerable with you guys and sharing this with you. So as that happens, I have this little pep talk and I start speaking from the heart. I just say, you know what? I love, because everybody that went up there had spoken a little bit about their journey. And when it was time for me to address the purpose question, I just start speaking from the heart. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details of what I said, but it was so crazy because at the end we have to vote, and we have to vote on who was the best speaker of the entire, hour that we were there. Well, I ended up getting voted as the best speaker, and I was just telling myself, as I was sitting there, I was like, girl, you see, you were trying to self-sabotage yourself. You were trying to self-sabotage yourself from going and putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, all because you were worried about what they were going to think and what they were going to say and how you were going to come across, when in reality, this was your higher self signaling to you, come here, because I am going to give you this amazing experience that you're going to remember, that is going to allow you to continue in your journey, to realize that you are meant for this and you got this. So why is this important? Because maybe you have something in your journey that right now you're ignoring. Maybe you have something in your journey that you haven't quite understood why it's happening. This is why I created my Business Meets Manifestation. And this is all part of the Feminine Essence Blueprint, because I wanted to, yes, give people the tangible to heal and understand why they're doing the things that they're doing and create a new identity to stop doing the things that they're doing. But I also wanted to give something tangible. And I decided to incorporate the Business Meets Manifestation, which is where I'm now actually teaching more of you how to create actual money from your passion, okay? And I'm super excited about this because this is how I've been able to continue to grow my Walking Manifestator brand. Within a matter of a few months, I've gotten over 80 people that have now joined the school community that we have, and over 60 of those have actually been paid clients. And I mentioned this before, I'm officially going to be transitioning that into a monthly subscription, so it's not going to be available for the public pretty soon. I'm thinking by January is when I'm going to transition into that, because I'm trying to continue to provide as much value as possible. This way, everybody that's in the community that helped me grow and that believed in the mission of Walking Manifestator gets to be grandfathered in, because I believe that it's funny how a lot of the times when you make it, all the people that, didn't really support you, they're like, yeah, I was there from the beginning. But it's like, no, be there from the beginning and genuinely be there from the beginning, because I know that I do that with my TikTok all the time. When I see a creator that is trying to grow her audience, I'm like there with her. I'm like liking her videos, sharing her stuff, because I believe that's how we grow. I believe that you should be giving what you want to receive. And if you're in this journey right now and you want to change and you want to embody something different, you want to get around the people that are going to have the same mindset, not the people that are going to make you question yourself and think, I shouldn't do that. I should just probably stay here. And remember, a lot of the times people are going to do it because they care about you, they love you. But the reality is that they don't know what's best for you. The only person that knows what's best for you is you. Now, the last thing I want to go over today is going to be your soul reflection prompt. And I want you to ask yourself, what am I currently pursuing that no longer feels like me? And I want you to also ask yourself, what am I ready to create that reflects who I'm becoming? And I'm going to give you an affirmation for your day, which is going to be that you are becoming your truest and highest self every single day. Every single day that you're showing up, and this is biblical, okay? Any work that you're doing is work. Any work that you're doing is going to come back for you. And if you continue to pay it forward, you continue to show up for yourself, you're going to continue to grow, you're going to continue to evolve. And as you continue in this journey, it is going to help you become the version of you that you currently might be thinking, I could never do that. But you can. You absolutely can. And the only thing that it's required from you is to show up. Start with one step at a time. Involve yourself around the right people. Go and make sure that you get some coaching and continue to watch videos like this from either our content or other amazing creators' content. But just be very mindful of what you're currently intaking, because a lot of the times when it comes to finding your purpose, you get so much noise that is happening that at the end of the day you get paralysis analysis and you end up doing nothing. So start with one thing, make sure you continue to show up. Make sure you do your healing journey, because this is so important in order for you to really align with your soul purpose goal. With that being said, I'm so thankful that you are here. If you haven't already, I would appreciate if you could like this video. Well, in this case, if you're listening to it on podcast, of course, like and share if you want to share it. But I'm really, really excited about what's happening next, because as we continue to grow the community, my goal is to bring amazing speakers. I don't want to be the only one talking, but I've been putting in the hours to make sure that I grow this channel to a point where I can now reach out to amazing speakers and say, hey, would you please come on and talk to my audience, because I would love for them to just continue to grow from your knowledge. So with that being said, if you can help me share this or like it, comment down below, it is really helping. And like I've said before, and if you're new, I've mentioned that Walking Manifestator has a mission. I want to use 10% of every single profit that's coming in through Walking Manifestator to start my first internet center. And what this is, it's going to be an internet center that we're going to use in our first location, God willing, is going to be in Juarez. And this is going to be where underprivileged kids get to go and use the internet, because a lot of them don't have access to the internet. And when people say like, oh, well, you should just Google something to learn how to make money, it's like, I can't use internet because I have no money. So my goal is for them to actually have a place to go and learn and be taught how to think, not what to think. And with this is how we start changing our world one moment at a time. And the more that we continue to show up for ourselves, the more that we continue to allow ourselves to be a better version of ourselves, the more that we're willing to help other people become a better version of themselves. But we need to take care of ourselves first. So with that being said, thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.